This week in Ken's Tech Lab, we're going to go over the Mintion Beagle and their new product, the UV Sensor, here on Ken's Tech Lab. Stay tuned. Welcome back. So I believe everybody knows about the Mintion Beagle, which lets you do time-lapse and send prints to your FDM printer. And everybody's been looking for a way to do the same thing for a resin. Well, Mintion came out with a new product, the UV Sensor, and we hope that this will actually do exactly that. Take time-lapse videos of all our prints. So let's unbox this. Let's get the Beagle out of the way. And the reason why I have this print here is because this is the print we're going to do on the resin printer to see if we can get a time lapse. All right. In the box we have the instructions, which looks like it's a fold-out instruction book. We have the sensor, the UV sensor, with some tape to hold the cable down. We have our USB power that can go into a USB dongle to 110. And that's everything that's in the box. Okay. So the first thing that we have to do is join the sensor to the Mintion app that we have. The Beagle I have already on the app. Now we're going to join the sensor to the app, and what it's going to do is control the Beagle. So let's move the camera and get over to the resin printer. Okay, the system that we're going to use for this demonstration for this is going to be my Jupiter 6K. Everybody that watches my channel have seen the unboxing of this beast. It's the printer that I felt had enough room to handle the recording and printing at the same time. With the big box that it has, there's enough room here to put the camera or the sensor and the sensor in there at the same time. So the first thing that I need to do, and I'm going to have to do this off camera because I don't have it connected to my phone, is add the unit to my Beagle print. So I have the devices. Let's also open up the instruction booklet, and I'll put it down in the lower thirds so you guys can follow along with it. Also, I'll be adding the video from Mintion showing the installation.
Let's begin by powering up the UV sensor. You'll notice that the LED will be solidly illuminated, indicating that it's working correctly. Now, we'll move on to installing the UV sensor. First, we need to unscrew the screws on the base and insert the sensor through the fan hole. Then, we need to stick the UV cable to the house of the 3D printer UV light, making sure that the sensor is facing the screen. It's important not to insert the UV cable into the house of the UV light, as this could cause printing failure. Next, we'll stick the cable to the base to prevent it from falling when dragging. And lock the screws on the base to ensure that the installation is secure. Finally, we'll turn on the UV light in illumination on the 3D printer and check if the blue LED on the UV sensor is fast flashing triple times. Before we can add the UV sensor to the Beagle Print app, we need to ensure that the Bluetooth firmware is upgraded to the latest version. Once we've done that, we can hold the button on the UV sensor for 3 seconds, and the LED will start slowly flashing, indicating that the UV sensor is in matching status. We'll then click the plus button to add and search for the UV sensor, and click on the UV sensor in the search results to add it to Beagle Print. After the pairing is completed, the LED will be solid illuminating. First, we'll select the UV time-lapse video mode on the camera setting page. Then, we'll input the total number of layers for the model on the page to ensure that we have a complete time-lapse video. Once we click the print button on the resin 3D printer, we'll observe the LED on the UV sensor flashing in triple time when the first layer is projected. Finally, we'll know that the recording is in progress when we see a circle on the screen.
What it wants you to do, power up the UV sensor. The LED will be solid illuminating. Unscrew the screws on the base, insert the sensor, but they're talking about a specific printer on this. So we're actually going to test this first. Okay, before adding the UV sensor to the Beagle Print app, and ensure the Bluetooth firmware is upgraded to the latest version. Okay, so here we go. I'm going to plug it in, and here's a little sensor. And the end of the sensor, on the end of the cable, here is the UV part of it that will sense that the UV light is activated. Alright, so here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to plug it in. And it said it's going to be solid blue light, which it is. Alright, it says hold in the button for 3 seconds. It will slow blink, and now it's in pairing. Okay.
Successfully connected to the Wi-Fi.
So what we need to do is making sure that the sensor to the Beagle Print app, ensure that the Bluetooth firmware is upgraded to the latest version, which it is. Alright, so everybody can see that I have the Beagle Cam software. Alright, then we go into Bluetooth devices, and you're going to see the plus sign for adding a device. Okay, I'm running an upgrade just to make sure that everything is up to date on my current Beagle. That upgrade looks like this. It found the Beagle UV right there. I'm going to hit next. Okay, it is now added. So now the unit, the little UV unit, also requires an update. Now this part was not in the instructions, so I'm doing this around the side, okay? It just upgraded to the latest version. Alright, then we can go into time-lapse settings, right here. And the one time-lapse is Beagle UV time-lapse video. Click that, and there you go, you're set. Alright, here's the important part. On the 0 line where it says model total layers, this will not know how many layers that your model needs to be, or how many layers that the model is going to print. So you need to manually enter that number of layers. Alright, after connecting the Mintion UV sensor up to the Beagle, the next thing we're going to want to do is make sure that we're safe with the 3D printer. So I'm going to shut it off. Okay, it is now turned off. And I'm going to disconnect the power. Alright, the next thing that we want to do is make sure that we know which ingress that we want to use on the printer, because we're going to have to open up that compartment. And on this Jupiter, I'm going to use this side, which is the left side from the front, is going to be my ingress to open up, because there's no power here, there's no connections, it's just a plate. So I'm not going to interfere with anything on the printer. So let's take away the screws. I'm going to hold up to one side so that it just doesn't fall off on me. And there we go. Taking off one cover plate. And as you can see down here, I hope you can see, is there are vents right here on this side coming from underneath. So it's a good place, let me see if I can get you in closer, to be able to bring the sensor in from this direction. So what we're going to do is, there's a sensor, we're going to bring it in. And what we're going to do is go underneath the wiring so we're not actually tugging on the wires. And for right now, I'm just going to unplug that. And what we need to do is, inside the unit is the box. And the box is what shines a light up through the screen. So what we're going to do is actually take this to the side of that box. Okay, let's see if I can get some more light on this for you guys. Put my light on there. There is the holes. I'll put my light underneath, as you can see. Okay. And down, it's all black, so it's kind of hard. There's a box right here, and pointing up is the LCD screen. So in the package comes the stickers, black tape, that we can actually put. And for right now, I'm only going to use one. Hold it in the place where I think that it will work. Okay. And I'm not going to actually cover the hole back up yet until I make sure that this will work. In the location where I placed it. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and plug the printer back into power, but my hands are not going to be inside of it yet. And what we're going to do is look at the little light right here, the blue light, and see if it flashes when we do a test. Alright, I'm going to go over to Tools, Exposure, and a 15-second exposure, and it flashed. So those flashes tell me that yes, it saw that the UV light came on. Okay, it's off. I'm going to go back, make sure that that wasn't a fluke, and actually try it again. Go back to exposure, and it flashes. Okay, we've turned the machine off again and went ahead and unplugged it. Now, I don't want this cable to go anywhere if you pull on it. So what I'm going to do is use another piece of tape, and this feels like a cloth tape. And I'm going to put it right there over the vent, or near the vent. So it's holding it here from pulling, and also I have the main tape that's still up here. And I think I'll put one more on the box. There we go. We have 3 pieces of tape on there, and it looks like it's held fine. Let me go ahead and put the cover back on this, and we'll be right back. Okay, so what I did was I put the Beagle Cam, there's a hole in the back of this unit that allows me to put an air duct out for the fumes that come off of resin, and I took that away. I also took out my Elegoo carbon filter, and it had enough room back there to set the Beagle and plug it in to power. The hardest part of this entire thing so far was finding USB outlets that I could get close to the printer, but not everybody will have that problem. I just don't, I have so many printers in here that I don't have enough plugs. So what we're going to do is turn the printer back on. All right. I'm going to put a little bit more resin in here, and this is the Anycubic Water Wash Resin Plus. I really like this resin. I've normally only used the Elegoo 8K resin, and I've never tried this one until now, but it works very well. Alright, so as you see, the camera's in there, and I don't know about you guys, but I don't like the smell of resin, so I'm going to close up the Elegoo door to try to keep some of the fumes in there. Okay, as you see, the control panel for the resin printer, and I'm going to go ahead and open up the Beagle Print app. Okay, it's not really focusing that well, but there is the inside of the printer, and you can see the Beagle Cam can see the resin in the vat. Alright, so back on the app, if I get it to focus here, I'm going to go into settings on the app, And then I'm going to go into time lapse. And you see that we're still at the Beagle UV time lapse video, right? So on our system here, back on the control panel, we're going to go to print. And then we're going to use our USB. And the print that we're going to do is right here. Now, when you slice a print, you're going to get the number of layers that print's going to have, from 0 to 3,000, 4,000 layers of action there. So what I'm going to do is when I slice this print right here, I sliced it at 3,400 layers. And one thing about the Beagle is, since you can't see nothing in the vat, because you won't be able to see nothing until this print is at least 20% or more completed, before it gets enough out of the vat that any camera is going to pick up anything, because it's enclosed. So we're going to put the 3,400 in there. I'm going to save that. So that is saved in the app, 3,400. We're going to go back. We're going to tell this thing to go ahead and print. Now, what the unit's supposed to do is the UV sensor is going to tell the Beagle camera to take a 3-second video, and it's put them all together at the end of the 3,400 layers, and you should have a video with a time lapse. So that's how this whole thing works. So I'm not going to keep the camera on for this, because, well, it's just it's going to be my Elegoo just doing a print, which could take, I think this print is about 8 hours. So I'll see you when it's done. Okay, it's the next day, and so let's look and make sure that this print has finished. I believe this was almost a 9-hour print. That's this. This is the Diablo Skeleton King that I printed, and so right now I'll be playing the video from the time lapse that the Beagle Cam made using the UV sensor for a time lapse. So that's right now. Welcome back, everybody, and everybody's seen the time-lapse video of the Mintion UV sensor, how it works. We've seen the installation on a Elegoo Jupiter, and it does work as advertised. There is no problem with it. It worked flawlessly, and I figured, well, I'm in here cleaning my parts now. That on that video you saw that I was printing a piece, which is now off the printer and cleaned. It's about ready to go into the curing station. So I figured I'd talk to you guys about what my thoughts are, and with the first company to bring something like this to us, I think it's wonderful. It's the direction that 3D printing, especially resin printing, is heading, and it needs to head into that direction. We all love our time-lapse videos, whether it be FDM or resin. I only know one other company that has it comes with a camera, so that camera connects to the printer itself. I don't know the name or the company that makes that, but I did watch the video on it. It's up to the individual if they want to have to open the printer themselves and install the lead for the sensor. I have no problem with that myself, as I build printers, as you've seen on my channel. And having room in the printer to fit the Beagle camera or leave a cover off while you're printing, everybody's going to have their own thoughts on the way that this was implemented from Mintion. So leave a comment below what your thoughts are on this new technology that we have for resin printing. And don't forget to like and subscribe. Don't forget to hit the notification bell, so I try to get a video out every week. I try to, not always. And like always, here at Ken's Tech Lab, stay awesome. So I also wanted to talk about the Beagle camera that Mintion makes. And that was the first piece of electronics that I've ever purchased other than the 3D printer. And the Beagle camera, well, changed the way that I was sending prints to my Prusa MK3 Plus. I was able to wirelessly send a print to there without having to go out and buy a Raspberry Pi and set up that. Now, as Raspberry Pis went outrageous through the roof for pricing, the Mintion Beagle stayed at a low price. It was well worth the money. I would buy it again in a heartbeat. And I just wanted to thank Mintion for sending me the UV sensor here for review. And as always, stay awesome.